Hello, my loves, and welcome back to what is sadly the final episode of the Ages of Chaos. Yeah, we are bang up to date now. Bang up to date. There is very little to discuss other than where chaos is in the game systems and where it's going to go, where it seems like it's going to go. In AOS, we have had announcement of what is ultimately the final Chaos power to get its own book, which is, of course, Slanesh, the youngest of the Chaos powers, my particular favourite, who has been in kind of a state of limbo, both in the mythology and in terms of its place in the gaming system and the miniatures range for quite a long time. We've had rumblings of Slanesh's imminent release for a long, long time, and now it seems that it is happening. In background terms, what that means is up for debate. I mean, with the beautifully named Hedonites of Slanesh, which is just gets me going, I can tell you, I love it. Are they going to maintain the dynamic of Slanesh being the captive god, of being bound by Tyrion and Teclis and the powers of order, in the non-space between the Shadow Realm and the Realm of Light? Or are they going to have Slanesh released and retake its place in the pantheon? Because that could be a brilliant way of moving not just the dynamic of chaos on in the game, but also just the whole metaphysics of this universe. I mean, when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense for Slanesh to be the next deity to take ascendance, because who has been in ascendant for the longest time? It's Nagash, and Nagash is Thanatos. Nagash is stasis and stagnation and death, whereas Slanesh is Eros. He's the total opposite of that very concept. He is the life force, he is vivacity, he is passion, he is appetite, he is inspiration. So he is very much the antithesis of Nagash. So it makes sense for Slanesh to be the force that undoes that deadlock, that undoes the status quo. I wonder if that's what they're going to do with it. It will be very interesting indeed. And also in terms of what shape and what dynamic the forces of Slanesh themselves are going to have in the gaming system. I mean, from what we've seen thus far, we've only seen demons. We have only seen demons, so maybe the Slanesh forces will be principally demonic. I don't know. Or maybe, I mean, my hope is that there is some small mortal unit in the Hedonites of Slanesh, because, I mean, of all the Chaos powers, mortal followers are the easiest to do for Slanesh, because there are so many of them. Slanesh is easily, alongside perhaps Nurgle, the easiest one of the Chaos powers to fall into the sway of, because who doesn't like pleasure? Who doesn't have desires? Who doesn't have dreams and inspiration? Slanesh, who doesn't have obsession? Slanesh encompasses so much that he even transgresses onto the aspects and purviews of the other Chaos powers. So there are so many pathways to Slanesh. I mean, the pathways to Khorne and to Tzeentch and to Nurgle are fairly specific, whereas Slanesh, they're very general. You can become a slave to Slanesh without realizing that it's happening, or without realizing that it's happened. And I love that. I absolutely love that. I can't wait to see if that's the case. I mean, if there are mortal units in the Hedonites of Slanesh, they could be great fun. I hope they follow the aesthetic that the demons have, that we've seen thus far. It's almost carnivalesque. It's this great parade. It's like a theatre piece. They have ruffs, and they have like silks, and they have masks, and they have costumes, and it's perfect. That is exactly what the followers of Slanesh should be, because yeah, they rampage across the mortal realms, but their rampage is a theatre piece. It's a production. It's a carnival. It's not just like the followers of Khorne, where they just leave desolation. No. It's a performance for their own pleasure and for the pleasure of their god. So maybe that's the dynamic they're going to go with. I certainly hope so, and I can't wait to see how they expand the background for Slanesh in the mortal realms and what it will mean. And after that, I mean, we have the dynamic of chaos in terms of the specific powers set out now, but they are not the only forces of chaos. We know that because, of course, we have the Skaven, who have just been re-released, we have the Beastmen, but we also have the other mortal followers of chaos in terms of the undivided forces that are united underneath Archaon. the Slaves to Darkness. There have been rumblings that there will be a Slaves to Darkness book at some point that will provide you with the undivided forces of chaos, and which will allow you to create the sort of old-fashioned polyglot forces where you have your Chaos Knights and your Chaos Warriors, and you have your Chaos Sorcerers and Demons and Beastmen and all of that all thrown together. And that would be great. That would be wonderful, because that will mean that there is a force for all comers. Whatever you want to do with chaos, you'll be able to do it in the mortal realms, and I cannot wait to see that. It will also be an interesting way of reintroducing Archaon, who has been somewhat shoved into the background because of Nagash of late. Nagash has been the principal villain. So, hopefully that will be the case. In 40k, we've just had the Vigilus campaign, Vigilus Ablaze, and Vigilus Ablaze has done this wonderful, wonderful thing. It has allowed Games Workshop to demonstrate their design philosophy, not only for chaos, but for the forces of 40k and the nature of 40k going forward. They haven't released a new codex for all of the wonderful new units and rules and whatnot. What they've done is introduced a campaign that updates the existing codex, that introduces new units, that introduces new rules, new detachments, that updates existing units with new models and whatnot, that fixes problems. It's very clever, and I imagine this is going to be it going forward. What they're going to do is use the existing codices as bases for and templates for how the forces are going to function going forward. So you're going to have like 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and so on and so forth of the existing codices as the miniatures ranges are updated. That's brilliant. For me, that's the way to go with 40k. And arguably with AOS as well. That's the way to go. I mean, even given that, they have updated the Chaos Space Marine Codex beautifully. There are loads of new units, loads of new rules. What I really like is that they've taken the units that were originally just like the Chaos versions of their Imperial counterparts. So the Dark Apostle used to be just an Imperial Chaplain, the Warp Smith used to be just an Imperial, a Chaos version of the Imperial Master of the Forge, or Tech Marine. It's kind of dull. What they've done is introduced very Chaos-flavoured versions of those dynamics. So now the Dark Apostle isn't just the equivalent of a chaplain. Now he can actually pray to the Chaos powers and have certain effects occurring on the battlefield as a result of his prayers. That's brilliant, because the Chaos gods do exist and they do listen to prayers. It differentiates the Dark Apostle from the Imperial equivalent, which is what should have always been done. You have the Master of Discord, which is kind of the Master of the Forge equivalent, but he's actually this incredible force of demonic disruption and technological carnage on the battlefield, and he rides this massive demon engine. Absolutely wonderful. We've had the reintroduction of Abaddon at long last, the reintroduction of Abaddon, which is absolutely wonderful. Brilliant new miniature that finally suits the arch messiah of all chaos. Wonderful stuff. We've also had, it looks like what they're really going to try and do with chaos in the future is diversify it. So you're going to have, there is so much in Vigilus that throws the gates of chaos wide open. Chaos players like myself now are going to have to really focus down on what we want from our armies, because there's so much you can do. There are so many new detachments that theme and flavour your army. There are so many new legion rules and new stratagems, and even one of the things I'm so glad they've done, I spoke about this with Adam on the Fluff and Hammer main podcast recently. One of the things I'm so glad they've done, they've maintained the Renegade chapters. Yeah, the focus is definitely on the legions. That's definitely the case, but it's not exclusive. They have not only maintained the Renegade chapters, but to make sure that people who play them are not disappointed, they've expanded them massively. So now it's not just the Red Corsairs and the Crimson Slaughter. No. Now you've got rules for the first time ever. You've got actual rules for creating, I think it's 6 different Renegade chapters that are now established in both the background and the gaming system. Very, very, very bloody happy about this. This is the way chaos should be, ladies and gentlemen. I would argue This is the best it's been since the Realm of Chaos days, perhaps since the 3.5 Codex. I mean, now the possibilities are even wider than they were in the 3.5 Codex because we have all of the options but none of the restrictions. It is absolutely wonderful. You can do some amazing things in both gaming terms and in terms of theming and flavor and aesthetics for Chaos. It looks like what they really want people to do is tailor their armies. They want to see people experimenting. They want to see people creating their own renegade chapters, mixing and matching rules and detachments so you get your own particular Chaos Force that plays differently from everyone else's Chaos Force, that's structured differently. I mean, I know for my money, what I am doing, because I have to focus down, I am taking my Shattered Suns, which are 1,000 Suns Splinter Band, and I am complementing them with a Renegade chapter of my own creation, which share their sort of imagery, their themes, and their flavors, but which allow for a sort of greater tactical flexibility, but also a greater variation in models. It's great fun. It's great fun. My guess is, going forward, what we're going to see is something similar. We are going to see the likes of the Death Guard and the Thousand Suns get updates where new models are introduced, where new detachments are introduced, where the rules are just updated. There aren't going to be new codices, there are going to be versions 2.0 of those codices, and I cannot wait to see what they do with them, how they update them, how they change them. Because of the Slanesh release, the imminent Slanesh release in AOS, you can lay odds that within the same time frame there's going to be a Slanesh release in 40k, because that's how it happens. That's how it's happened with the last 3 or 4 releases. So what does that mean? It almost certainly means an Emperor's Children Codex, which has me dancing on the ceiling, because the Emperor's Children, alongside the Thousand Sons and the Word Bearers, are my favourite legions. Dancing on the ceiling. I cannot tell you. What that means, I don't know. How they're going to change them, how they're going to update their rules and their background to fit them into the new status quo of 40k, I don't know, because the Emperor's Children have been fairly neglected for a long time. But it probably means new Noise Marines, it probably means a lot of new units based around them, it almost certainly means new Terminators, maybe a Mortal unit, it also means Fulgrim. The most beautiful of the Demon Primarchs, arguably. I cannot wait to see that miniature. Cannot wait. But it also means that Slanesh will get a new lease of life in the 40k universe and may shake it up a little bit. Let's see. After that, well, there's only one left. There is the World Eaters and Angron. And if they occur, I imagine it's going to be... It may not be this year, or it may be towards the end of the year. Either way, it's a very exciting time to be playing. It's a very exciting time to be a Chaos fan, and quite frankly, I can't wait to see what they pull out of the bag next. I really can't. Rest assured, when it occurs, there will be updates and adjuncts to the Ages of Chaos. But until then, thank you all so much for those of you who have listened, for those of you who have provided feedback. If there's anything else you'd like me to talk about within the purview of this topic, please, please, please let me know. I will happily, happily do so. Until next time, ladies and gents, bye-bye!